Today on Bobby Learns, I will be putting my code onto GitHub. GitHub is a place where you can store the code that you've made and also enables you to do things like take the code in different directions and be able to get back to the original and basic version controlling. I am going to be starting out with something to actually use Git, and then I'll be creating a account for GitHub and do something called a push to take my code from my computer and put it into GitHub. Git is the actual program that's going to be doing the version control, and it is the controls for Git itself are going to be command line controls. One of the things that I like about Git for Windows is the Windows Explorer integration that allows me to bring up these console windows just by right-clicking on one of the Windows folder and saying open Git window here. I've now installed Git for Windows, so what I'm expecting to see is that I can do a git bash here. Got my tutorial game here. I will say open the git bash right on my tutorial game. ls is going to list off the files and folders that are there in that directory. So that's just to make sure that I'm in the right directory. The first command I'll be using is git init. Git init will create the files and folders that it needs in order to create the versioning system. So the way that Git does versioning is through something called commits. So every time you want to save a version that you might want to go back to, you do git commit. And then that comes with various things called flags, where you put a dash and then letters for the flags. So dash A for all of the files and folders that are here. And then I'm also going to do M for this is my message for the commit. So in order to indicate what my message is, I'm going to be using the single quote in order to put something around it to say this is the message that I want. Right. So I forgot to actually add all of the files and folders in. So git add, that's another command to say which files is it that you're going to be putting into this version control system. So I want to add all the things that are under it. How that's different from the -A is the -A says all the files that I've indicated that I want to be in this versioning control, make sure that you save all of them. So what it's doing here is something that I did not want it to do about replacing line endings. So there's, at the end of each line, there's a enter character. So on some computers, that character is actually what we see here represented as a CRLF. So that means a carriage return and a line feed. And then on some systems, it is just the line feed character. So in order to go back and forth between these systems, Git has decided, well, we're only going to use one type, and then your computer is actually going to choose which of those types it should be in the end. But what I'd really like it to do is not make any changes, and if I transport my code to a different system that uses a different kind of enter, then I'll do the conversion myself. I don't think that I will be doing that, in that this is all Windows-based stuff. So we're going to be keeping it in Windows forever. So I don't actually want it to do this replacement that it's saying it'll do. And now I have to learn how to actually turn that off. All right, well, that seems to have done it. Let's get into GitHub. And we'll be creating an account here.